Welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, and good morning to everyone at home who has invited us into their home through the power of technology and streaming. Is there anyone here that is here for the very first time? Yes, so welcome. So for those of you that do not know me, my name is Reverend Dusty Ripplemeyer. And I am the spiritual director of this amazing community. We are a spiritual community that follows the teachings of Ernest Holmes and are part of a larger organization called the Centers for Spiritual Living. Now, the Centers for Spiritual Living believe that there is just one God, that God is not a God that's outside of us, that is doling out favors or punishments, but a God that is within us and surrounding us, and that it is benevolent and loving and is always for us and never against us. And that an aspect of this power and presence is something called the law, and through this law we create the experiences of our lives. So we have some choice in the matter, which is always quite wonderful. And we'll touch upon that a little bit more today. But welcome to all of you, and to all of you that are just arriving now. Hi, everybody.
Today's reading is by Dennis Merritt from his book, The Art of Being. It reads, "Spiritual perfection is an inherent part of each of us. It is never diminished by conditions. With an awareness of this truth comes the wholeness of spirit that enables us to accept the moment at hand as perfect just the way it is, knowing that nothing is ever missing in God's presence. Our job is to cease judging by appearances and to start knowing the truth. Will knowing truth automatically change or fix that which we have previously labeled as imperfect? Understanding the power of affirmative mind, it may. Even if it doesn't, it won't really matter, because we will have ceased judging ourselves, as well as others, as less than whole. Wholeness is a natural part of the sacred continuum, the journey of spirit navigating its way through the human experience as you and me."
So good morning and welcome to those of you that may have just arrived in the sanctuary. Our theme for the month of November is, Are You Looking for a Change? And my talk title today is Big Love is Forgiveness. Now, the underlying statement from Ernest Holmes' What We Believe statements is we see our communities as empowered with the realization of unity and wholeness, from which flows the ultimate healing power of forgiveness and love. There is so much going on in the world today. There's even so much going on in our community today. There is so much going on within our own hearts and our own minds. So much pain and so much anger, so much doubt and fear and confusion and worry, so much fear. There is so much to be said today. Not only to be said, but to be said in a way that honors every person, in a way that honors everyone's feelings, but in a way that also stands deeply grounded in spiritual principle. Not even sure I know where to begin, except that I will start where we should always start, with God. So what I know for sure is that God is. That God is eternal with no beginning and no end. That God is omniscient, which means that it has the capacity to know everything that can be known. I know that it is everywhere at all times in its fullness, that there is no spot where God is not, that God is either everywhere or nowhere It cannot be both, and I believe that God is everywhere. I know that God is the creative energy back of everything that there is, seen and unseen. I know that it is the presence, the essence of love, of creativity, of abundance, of wisdom, of compassion, of wholeness, and of divine right, order, and action. I know that right where I am, God is. It could be no other way, for God is all that there is. I know that I was created by God, out of God's stuff, and imbued with its fullness, imbued with its wholeness. I know that I am that peace, that joy, that creativity, that abundance, that wholeness, that compassion, that wisdom, that divine right order and action. And I know that if this is true for me, it has to be true for each and every person in this room today, each and every person in our community that could not be here today, each and every individual on the planet, individually and collectively as each and every nation, each and every organization, each and every religion, each and every political affiliation, each and every demographic on the planet with no exception. I know that we are spiritual beings having a human incarnation, that we are God's ambassadors. If you are on the planet, if you are here right now in this moment, then you are tasked with being its ears, its eyes, its heart, and its voice. It is our responsibility to reveal the face of God within ourselves and within each other. I know that God is within each and every situation, within each and every circumstance, within each and every experience, despite what our human perceptions might be telling us. I know that behind the dirt and the grime of the journey, God is as unconditional love. I know that behind the veil of the illusion of separation, God is as wholeness. I know that behind the fog of fear, doubt, worry, confusion, and anger, God is as peace and harmony and unity. Reverend Michael Beckwith, in a talk that he gave following the election, spoke about three worlds. Now, the first world is the world of appearances. It is a world of lack and limitation, of fear, of doubt, of worry, of scarcity. It is the world of bigotry and hate. It is a world of victim consciousness. If we are living in that world, we look out at the world through a spiritually immature state of awareness, a very myopic view of the world. If we are living in this world, we look out at this world through our human eyes and believe that it is real. It feels real. And we live our lives out in reaction to what we are experiencing, to that thing that we feel is real and we react to. This is how we live our lives. In this world, we live from a context of me versus you, or of us versus them. Now, the invitation today is to know that everyone is exactly where they should be on their spiritual path at any given moment. The invitation is to know, or at least be willing to know, that if everyone knew better, then everyone would say better and everyone would act better. The invitation is to be willing to accept that there is not one person in this room who has never said or done something that they wished they hadn't said or done. There is not one person in this room who hasn't in some way, somehow, held someone outside of their heart because of anger or retaliation or fear. The invitation is to recognize this truth and be willing to forgive yourselves. And then out of that compassion, out of that forgiveness, be willing to forgive everyone else. To do our own inner work so that we can truly be a space of love and compassion. To do our own inner work so that we can let love lead, so that we can let love inform our way of being in the world. The invitation today is to recognize the buttons that live within us, that lie deep within us. What I know about these buttons is that when they are being pushed, when the disturbance is being felt, when pain is all that we can see, that nothing outside of us installed those buttons, and nothing outside of us can take them away. That how we react in those moments when our buttons are being touched, in those moments when we are feeling that disturbance, those moments when that pain is moving through us, how we react is what we will draw unto ourselves. Do you understand that? Wayne Dyer says, how people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. Powerful, yes. Now, on Wednesdays in our Destination Transformation series, we are looking at the work of Petra's favorite book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Now, he talks about keeping our hearts open. Karen beautifully sang about keeping our hearts open, about not pulling back or closing down, but instead staying. Say that last sentence again. It just happened? All right. So he talks about keeping our hearts open. He talks about not pulling back or closing down, but instead staying open and allowing the disturbance or allowing the pain to simply move through us, to flow through us. That being able to do that will feel foreign at first. It's going to feel uncomfortable. We're going to want to pull away. We're going to want to close down and resist. But every time we do that, every time we close our heart down, that pain stays stored within us. And on the other hand, however, if we were able to stay open, if we were able to stay relaxed, if we were able to release the stranglehold that we have on our buttons, then a little piece of that pain would go away. A little piece of that pain would go away forever. The invitation is to feel our feelings, to honor our feelings, and then to do the work to let them go. The invitation is to experience them as something that is simply moving through us that we can choose to hang on to or we can choose to release. We have that choice. Now, the second world is the world of possibility. Reverend Michael says, with a greater awareness of our wholeness, our oneness with God, and through our spiritual practices of meditation, prayer, contemplation, visioning, and sacred service, another world shows up. We begin to look at the world differently. We begin to see possibility and potential and opportunity in every situation, in every circumstance, in every experience. What I know is that if you have been here for any length of time, you would have heard something about what we believe here. If you have been here for any length of time, you would have heard something about what our greater organization, the Centers for Spiritual Living, believes. You may have heard or read our 2016 Global Vision, which I am sharing with you today in its entirety. We see a world that works for everyone, where all life is honored as expressions of the divine, where people live according to spiritual truth, where humanity awakens to its spiritual magnificence, where humanity rediscovers personal creative power, where we live as one global family, where kinship with all life prospers, where unity and connection is emphasized, where forgiveness is the norm, where spiritual guidance is valued, where we are called to conscious social action, where people have enough food, homes, and a sense of belonging, where there is peace, harmony, and justice for all, where resources are valued, cared for, and shared, where communities are meaningfully involved in service to the world, where there is a renewed emphasis on beauty, nature, creativity, art, and aesthetics. We see a world that works for everyone. Now, granted, what our human eyes are seeing right now at this point in time in history in our nation and across the world is not that. But you have to remember, this is a vision. In Charles Fillmore's book, The Revealing Word, he defines vision from a metaphysical perspective as seeing God as the foundation of all, the source of all, and the substance of all. The foundation of all, the source of all, and the substance of all. Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that if we were to look out at the world through our human eyes, we would see something much different than if we were to look out of the world as God's eyes, as eyes that recognize God as the foundation of all, the source of all, and the substance of all. To have a vision means to have the ability to see beyond what the human eye sees into the allness of possibility. Ernest Holmes says there is a tendency on the part of all of us to reproduce the accumulated subjective experiences of the human race. In English, it simply means that we have a tendency to continue to create more and more of the same. Somebody appreciated that. Now, how we do this is by continually putting our attention on what is wrong, on what is missing, on what is not working. And through the action of the law, what we put our attention on, what we think about, is made manifest in form. It is as simple as that. The more we think about that which we do not want, the more we experience it in our lives. The truth is that all great social change was created by people with a vision, by people that were able to look beyond the current experience of the world, by people that were able to look beyond the current race thought and to think a new thought. It is not about denying what is. It is not about ignoring the unpleasant. It is not about spiritual bypass. It is about giving your attention to the solution instead of the problem. Amen. We have that capacity within us. We have the capacity to think a new thought. We have the capacity to create a mental equivalent of it in our mind, and we have the capacity to use the power of our word, of our thoughts, to bring it into being. Now, the invitation today is to remember that our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs are always creating, whether we are doing that consciously or unconsciously. It is the way the law works. It simply says yes and then clothes our words in form, clothes our words in flesh. And the more passion, the more juice we have behind the words, the quicker and the more often that is going to happen. The invitation today is to be more conscious about what you're asking it to create. Instead of creating from the level of the problem, begin to create from a higher view, from a loftier idea, from a place that is in alignment with God, with the unconditional love, the peace that passes all understanding, the boundless joy, and the unlimited possibilities that are the presence of God itself. The invitation today is to entertain the idea that everything that is happening in the world today is happening for a reason. That there is nothing wrong here. There is nothing to fix, nothing to judge, and nothing to condemn. Only God to be revealed. Take a breath. Whew! The invitation today is to contemplate those times when you went through a really difficult period of time in your life, and then were able to look back on that time and to say that had that thing not happened, I would not be where I am today. The invitation is to entertain the idea that what is happening in our country, in the world today, is perfect just the way it is. To recognize that the United States has not changed since the election, that new isms haven't suddenly been born, that new problems and issues have not been unleashed, but what we are experiencing today is an uncovering of what has always been. What we are experiencing today is an uncovering of all of the hidden beliefs that did not serve us in the past and will not serve us in the future. What we are uncovering today is an opportunity to transmute the illusion of separation and to transform our capacity and ability to relate to each other. What we are experiencing today is an opportunity to heal the soul of America once and for all. Norman Vincent Peale says, no matter how dark things seem to be or actually are, raise your sights and see the possibilities. Always see them, for they are always present. We live in a universe of unlimited possibilities. When we stand firmly grounded in the truth of who we are as spiritual beings having a human incarnation, anything is possible. The possibilities are endless. There is nothing too big or too small in God. There is nothing too big or too small for all of us when we are together, when we are united, when we are co-creating a world by allowing God's love to flow through us. Anything is possible. The third world is to see the world that God sees through the mystical eye. In this world, we see the world as it really is spiritually. Reverend Michael says, in this world, we are not blind to appearances. We are not blind to possibilities. But we are also not blind to the realm of the ever-expanding good of God. In this world, we are able to see the beauty, the love, the creativity, the joy, the abundance, the freedom, the grace in each and every person, in each and every situation, with no exceptions. We are in the world, but not of the world. The invitation today is to check yourself. Ask yourself, are my thoughts, words, and actions in alignment with the truth of who I am? Am I thinking, speaking, and doing from a place of love, from a place of forgiveness? Am I being the highest expression of God that I can possibly be? The invitation today is to ask yourself, what can I do? What can I say? Who can I be to be a part of the solution rather than being a part of the problem? How can I look at what is being uncovered to awaken? How can I look at what is being uncovered to discover what it is I am to do? How can I look at what is being revealed in the world today as a reflection of what is inside of me? And how can I be willing to shift that so that I can be in service to the world? How can I be a change agent in the world today? The invitation is to be the change that you wish to see. Where there is chaos, be peace. Where there is fear, be love. Where there is doubt, be faith. Where there is pain, be the presence of healing. Alan Cohen says, in the Native American tradition, one member of the tribe assumes the role of faith keeper. This person's role is to remain at peace, centered in spiritual vision, no matter what events befall the tribe. Even if everyone else in the tribe slips into pain, fear, or dissension, the faith keeper is the one person the tribe can rely on as a lifeline to the presence. This is our role. This is our role both individually and collectively, and I affirm that it is the right and perfect role for this amazing community, that it is the right seat on the bus for each and every one of us, individually and collectively. I declare that our community, the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, has been created for a time such as this, that we can be the faith keepers of our global community. We can know beyond a shadow of a doubt that love prevails and anything unlike it dissolves into the nothingness from which it came. I proclaim that we are even now holding the high watch, that we are more than capable of doing so. We are a safe haven in the storm. We are a place where everyone can feel welcome, everyone can be respected, everyone can be honored, and everyone can be loved. I affirm that we are a perfect vibrational representation of a world that works for everyone. Yes. Now, I received this next slide while I was preparing for my talk today, and it's from the crew at Story People, and it says, I don't know, where is it? They're fooling around with me. I got it. I don't know who will become in the days ahead, she said. I only know the quiet voice in my heart that says that we will become it together. I know that together in co-creation with God, we can do anything, that anything is possible, that this community can be on the leading edge of an evolution of love, of an evolution of kindness, of an evolution of forgiveness. Thich Nhat Hanh said, it is possible that the next Buddha will not take the form of an individual. The next Buddha may take the form of a community practicing understanding and loving kindness, a community practicing mindful living. I, for one, am so grateful for this teaching. And so grateful for the opportunity to powerfully bring it forward out into the world, to those that are seeking, to those that are looking for a change. I am so grateful for each and every person in this room, each and every person in our community that is not here today. So grateful for your presence in this community and in my life. I am so very grateful that we are walking this path together, creating a world that works for everyone. And so it is. Amen. Amen. So I invite everyone to turn within. As I turn within, I am acutely aware of the power and presence of God that is within me and surrounding me. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect despite what our human perceptions might be telling us at any given moment. That behind the veil, behind the fog, behind the dirt and grime is the truth. The truth that God is, that peace is, that love is, that freedom is, and that each of us is connected to it in ways that can never be broken. We cannot be separated from that presence that is within us. And because we cannot be separated from that presence, we cannot be separated from each other, for that golden thread of God's stuff weaves us all together, everyone on the planet with no exception. And it is from that place of unity that I know for each of us today that there is a way of living in our lives, honoring our feelings, feeling them, and yet allowing them to pass through us, knowing that they are not who we are, that they are not the truth, that we can simply be with them and transmute them and live our lives from a higher view, from a loftier idea, from a place that is in deep awareness of its connection to God, that which is back of it all. I affirm for each of us today that there is a way that we can live in the world and not be of the world. To truly know that everyone is exactly where they need to be at any given moment, and that all is unfolding perfectly in divine right order, with grace and with ease. To know that as we sit anchored in this abiding connection with God, that we become aware of that which is ours to do at this time, to be part of the solution, to bring forward a new thought, a new idea, a new way of being, to love each other, as Karen sang, to be kind to each other, to tear down the walls instead of building them up, to co-create a world that works for everyone. And I'm so grateful to know this truth, so grateful to speak these words, so grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes, that they are clothed in form immediately as they are spoken. And so I speak them with love and gratitude and full expectation of their manifestation. And I invite everyone to anchor them for themselves and for each other simply by saying, and so it is. Amen.